The Stoics, an ancient school of thought, taught that true power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. In a world filled with constant distractions and emotional challenges, their wisdom feels more essential than ever. Have you ever found yourself emotionally drained after dealing with someone toxic? Their negativity can seep into our minds, leaving us overwhelmed and powerless. But what if you could rise above it? In this video, we'll explore 14 actionable Stoic strategies that will empower you to face toxic people with calm, grace, and unshakable resilience. Together, we'll uncover timeless tools to protect your emotional well-being and thrive in today's chaotic world. Welcome to Stoic Echoes US, your destination for mastering mental strength and clarity. By the end of this video, you'll have a powerful Stoic toolkit to handle negativity with confidence and compassion. So, take a moment, center yourself, and let's dive in. 1. Guarding your inner fortress. Think of your inner self, your peace, your emotional safety, and your mental well-being as a fortress, a stronghold that protects the essence of who you are. You are the guard at its gates, tasked with identifying and understanding threats before they breach your walls. In this role, awareness is your most powerful weapon. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not what happens to you that upsets you, but your judgment of what happens." This timeless wisdom reminds us that toxic individuals do not hold power over us. Instead, it is our reaction to their behavior that determines their impact. But how do you recognize these threats and protect your emotional fortress in today's world? Picture this. You're working hard on a project at your job, pouring your energy into every detail, when a colleague constantly criticizes your decisions, questions your methods, and finds fault in your efforts. At first, you may brush it off, but over time, their words start to chip away at your confidence, leaving you deflated. This is the hallmark of a toxic individual, someone who thrives on negativity and criticism. Toxic people often exhibit behaviors like constant criticism, manipulative tactics, and an unrelenting pessimism that drains those around them. They may use guilt, flattery, or even threats to control you, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted. These behaviors can manifest in different toxic personalities, such as the narcissist, someone who seeks endless validation while leaving others feeling used; the gossip, a person who thrives on stirring conflict and spreading rumors; the energy vampire, someone whose very presence seems to sap your vitality. But here's the thing, recognizing these traits is just the beginning. The true challenge lies in developing what I call the Stoic gaze, a calm and objective way of viewing situations and people. Instead of reacting emotionally to toxic behavior, you must train yourself to see it for what it is, a reflection of the other person's inner turmoil, not your own. This doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment, it means choosing how you respond. For example, when faced with that critical colleague, you might acknowledge their feedback without internalizing it. Remind yourself that their negativity stems from their own struggles, not your worth. In modern life, toxic individuals are everywhere, at work, in social circles, even online. But just as a Roman general like Seneca would prepare for battle by studying his enemy, you can protect your emotional well-being by understanding the strategies toxic people use. Ask yourself, how do I react to negativity? Do I let it control me, or do I maintain my inner calm? By cultivating this awareness, you take the first step toward creating boundaries and safeguarding your peace. The ultimate lesson here is this: you cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you respond. Your inner fortress is worth defending. By recognizing toxic behaviors and responding with grace and clarity, you reclaim your power. So, as you move forward, remember to stand guard, stay vigilant, and protect the peace that resides within you, because no one else can do it for you. 2. Fortify your emotional fortress. Picture yourself as Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Emperor of Rome, tasked with defending an empire that stretched far and wide. To protect such a vast domain, he relied on strength, wisdom, and unwavering discipline. Now, think of your own inner self. Your emotional well-being's a citadel that needs just as much care and protection. In today's chaotic world, where toxic people and situations often test your limits, the boundaries you set are the walls that shield your inner peace. These boundaries define what you will and won't tolerate, much like how a wise ruler would never allow enemies to invade their territory. So, ask yourself, what areas of your life feel most vulnerable to intrusion? Is it the constant negativity of a friend, the manipulative demands of a co-worker, or perhaps the unsolicited advice of a family member? Identifying these energy drains is the first step toward fortifying your walls. Once you've pinpointed the areas where your emotional strength is being tested, the next step is to communicate your boundaries with clarity and confidence. Channel your inner Marcus Aurelius, firm but fair. For example, instead of accusing someone with statements like, "You're always so negative," try using I statements. "I feel drained," when we only focus on the negative. This approach shifts the focus to your feelings, making the conversation less confrontational and more constructive. Be specific when setting your limits. Try, "I can't talk right now, but I'd love to catch up later this week." Specificity leaves no room for misunderstanding and ensures your boundaries are understood. And remember, being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. You can communicate with confidence while maintaining kindness and respect. But here's the truth: setting boundaries isn't a one-time act. It's a continuous practice, much like a ruler constantly patrolling their borders. A weak or inconsistent boundary is like a crumbling wall easily breached. If someone disregards your limits, calmly remind them of the line you've drawn. If the behavior persists, you may need to reduce your interaction with that person, or in some cases, remove yourself from the situation entirely. This isn't about punishing them, it's about protecting yourself. Let me share a modern example. Imagine you have a colleague who constantly interrupts your work with complaints or gossip. At first, you tolerate it out of politeness, but over time, it starts to affect your productivity and mood. By setting a boundary politely but firmly, letting them know you need uninterrupted time to focus, you take back control of your emotional space. If they continue, you might need to limit your interactions to necessary work discussions. This isn't selfish, it's self-care. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, believed in avoiding envy and unnecessary conflict, focusing instead on reason and self-control. By setting boundaries, you're not being selfish or unkind, you're simply protecting your emotional well-being and creating the space you need to cultivate inner peace. So, as you navigate your own life, remember that your emotional citadel is worth defending. A strong fortress built on clear and consistent boundaries is essential for a life of calm and resilience. Ask yourself, what steps can you take today to fortify your walls and protect the peace within? 3. Mastering the grey rock shield. Picture the emotional barbarian in your life. Someone who thrives on negativity, stirs up drama, and seeks to provoke you, just to feed off your emotional reactions. Toxic people like this are relentless. They poke and prod with insults or manipulative tactics, hoping to ignite even a flicker of anger or hurt. Their power lies in your response, in the attention you give them. And that's where the grey rock method becomes your strongest defense. Inspired by Stoic principles of emotional regulation and indifference, this method, introduced by therapist Paul Friedman, is about becoming emotionally uninteresting. It doesn't mean shutting down or being cold. It's about presenting yourself as a smooth, neutral surface, like a grey rock, that offers no grip for their negativity to cling to. Let's take Seneca's timeless wisdom to heart. True happiness resides in enjoying the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Toxic people often seek attention, whether it's positive or negative, to fuel their behavior. By adopting the grey rock method, you deny them that satisfaction. You become unremarkable in their storm of drama, refusing to give them the emotional reaction they crave. Instead of being swept into their chaos, you remain calm and unyielding, like a rock in the middle of a raging river. For instance, if a toxic co-worker mocks your work, instead of defending yourself or retaliating, you might respond with a flat, "That's interesting," and move on. Neutral responses like this act as your armor, deflecting their attempts to control your emotions while keeping your inner peace intact. Toxic individuals might escalate their tactics, resorting to sarcasm, guilt trips, or outright hostility to reel you in. They might accuse, provoke, or play the victim. But your role is to disengage from their emotional vortex. Keep your responses factual, your tone calm, and your boundaries firm. Remember, the goal isn't to win an argument or prove a point. It's to protect your emotional well-being. Seneca also reminds us that the path to true happiness lies in not entertaining hopes or fears tied to external events. By refusing to give toxic people the emotional power they seek, you reclaim control over your peace. Let me give you a modern example. Imagine you have a friend who constantly criticizes your choices, whether it's your career, relationships, or even your hobbies. At first, you might feel the urge to explain yourself or argue back. But with the grey rock method, you take a different approach. Instead of engaging, you respond with neutral, disinterested statements like, "I see," or "That's your opinion." Over time, they realize they can't get the reaction they're looking for, and their behavior loses its grip on you. This isn't about being rude or detached. It's about protecting your emotional space and refusing to become a pawn in their drama. However, it's essential to understand that the grey rock method isn't a magic solution. Some toxic individuals may escalate their behavior when they sense their usual tactics aren't working. Are key. You're not responsible for their negativity, and you don't have to fix them. Your responsibility is to yourself to defend your inner calm and emotional stability. By applying this method, rooted in Stoic wisdom, you shift from being a victim of someone else's emotional theatrics to an observer, unmoved and in control. The lesson here is simple, yet powerful. You can't stop toxic people from being toxic, but you can stop them from affecting you. Protect your peace, guard your happiness, and remember that your emotional fortress is worth defending. So, how will you respond? The next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, will you be the rock that stands firm? 4. Stand firm with the broken record technique. Picture yourself dealing with someone who constantly tries to wear you down, whether through guilt, flattery, or outright anger. They push, prod, and manipulate, hoping to chip away at your boundaries and get their way. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the good news. You don't have to be swept away by their tactics. The broken record technique, inspired by the Stoic principles of reason and perseverance, offers you a simple yet powerful way to stand your ground. This method is about calmly and consistently repeating your position, much like a broken record stuck on the same message. While it may sound simple, its strength lies in its unwavering nature. It keeps you focused on your needs while throwing manipulators off balance. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "is the only good." This freedom includes the ability to define your boundaries and say no without guilt or explanation. The broken record technique is a perfect way to embody this principle. Let's say you have a friend who keeps pressuring you to join an event you're not interested in. They might try to guilt you by saying, "Come on, you never make time for us," or flatter you with, "We really need someone like you to make it fun." Instead of getting drawn into their emotional ploys, you calmly repeat your stance. "I appreciate the invite, but I won't be able to make it." If they push further, you repeat the same line, word for word, without changing your tone or adding justifications. Over time, this repetition becomes a shield, deflecting their attempts to manipulate you. Like waves crashing against an immovable rock, their arguments will eventually lose their force, while you remain steady and unshaken. Manipulators often thrive on emotional reactions, but the broken record technique denies them that satisfaction. By focusing on a simple, factual statement, you strip away the drama they're trying to create and keep the interaction grounded in reason. This calm repetition can be unsettling for them because it disrupts their flow and exposes the emptiness of their arguments. And here's the key. This isn't about confrontation or aggression. It's about calmly enforcing your boundaries without engaging in unnecessary conflict. Think about how often we feel the need to justify our decisions or explain ourselves to others, even when we know we don't owe them an explanation. The broken record technique frees you from that trap. It reminds you that your boundaries are valid simply because they are yours, and you don't need to bend to someone else's will to keep the peace. This method not only protects your emotional well-being, but also reinforces your confidence in standing up for yourself. So, how can you apply this technique in your daily life? Whether it's a coworker trying to offload extra work onto you, a family member pressuring you to make a decision you're not ready for, or a friend refusing to take no for an answer, the broken record technique is your tool for staying firm. Calmly, consistently, and confidently repeat your stance and watch as their attempts to manipulate you lose their power. The lesson here is clear. You have the right to protect your boundaries and maintain your inner peace. How will you use this method the next time someone tries to push you off course? Will you be the unshakable rock in the storm? 5. Stay calm. Don't take the bait. Picture this. Someone in your life, like a skilled angler, casts a line, baited with negativity, be it sarcastic remarks, veiled insults, or guilt trip shopping to reel you into their whirlwind of emotional drama. Toxic individuals thrive on this, feeding off your reactions to fuel their negativity. But here's the thing, you don't have to bite. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful shield against these provocations: indifference. Now, don't confuse indifference with apathy. Apathy is a lack of care, a lifeless state of disengagement. Indifference, as taught by Stoics like Epictetus, is something entirely different. It's the art of choosing not to let external provocations dictate your emotions. It's about staying calm, composed, and detached from the hooks of negativity that others throw at you. Let's take a moment to break this down. The first step in not taking the bait is awareness. Toxic people are strategic in their approach, and the bait often comes in subtle forms: a sarcastic comment that stings, a backhanded compliment, or a guilt-laden suggestion. Recognizing these cues weakens their power over you. Think of it like spotting a trap before stepping into it. Once you see the bait for what it is, you've already taken the first step toward freeing yourself from their emotional games. Next comes the key: detaching from the emotional hook. The bait is designed to provoke, whether it's anger, frustration, or defensiveness. But what if, instead of reacting, you simply observe? Picture the bait dangling in the water. Rather than biting, you let it drift by, unaffected. This is Stoic indifference in action, a calm, deliberate choice to stay grounded in your own peace, rather than getting pulled into someone else's chaos. Here's an example from modern life. Imagine a coworker who constantly undermines you in meetings with cutting remarks. They might say something like, "Well, I guess that's one way to do it," with a smirk. It's tempting to snap back or defend yourself. But what happens if you don't? What if you simply respond with a neutral, "Noted," and move on? Without your reaction, their attempt to provoke you falls flat. The drama they're trying to create dissolves because you've refused to fuel it. This is the power of indifference. It's not about being cold or uncaring, but about choosing not to let negativity control your emotions. When you don't take the bait, you shift from being a participant in their drama to an observer of it. Their words lose their sting, their power over you fades, and your inner peace remains intact. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control what others do or say, we can control how we respond. And by practicing indifference, you protect your serenity, a refuge, untouched by the storms others may try to create. So the next time someone casts their bait, ask yourself, will you bite or will you let it drift by? Will you choose to guard your peace and stay unshaken? The lesson is clear: you can't stop others from trying to provoke you, but you can choose not to let them succeed. 6. Mastering the art of non-reaction. Picture someone in your life who thrives on conflict, a verbal gladiator, skilled at hurling insults and barbs, always looking for a fight, to draw you into their web of negativity. These toxic individuals use words as weapons, hoping to provoke anger, humiliate you, or pull you into their emotional chaos. But here's the truth: you don't have to engage. One of the most powerful tools you can use against such behavior is the art of the non-reaction. Silence, when used deliberately, is not weakness, it's strength. It disrupts the cycle of negativity they crave, leaving them disarmed and powerless. Yet, silence doesn't come naturally to everyone. We're conditioned to believe we must defend ourselves, argue back, or prove a point. But Stoicism teaches us otherwise. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman Stoic, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Silence, in these moments, becomes a way to embody self-control and wisdom, rather than getting lost in the noise. Think of it like this. Toxic individuals thrive on a predictable pattern. They throw negativity your way, expecting you to react anger for anger, insult for insult. It's like a tennis match, where they serve the ball with full force, expecting you to swing back. Now, imagine what happens when you don't swing. The ball falls flat, and the game ends before it begins. That's the power of silence. By refusing to react, you break the toxic cycle and deny them the satisfaction they seek. But make no mistake, this isn't easy. When you choose silence, the other person might escalate their behavior, hurling more insults or pushing harder to provoke you. This is where your resolve must be strongest. Remaining calm and composed in the face of their escalation sends a powerful message. You are in control of your emotions, and they cannot manipulate you. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine a colleague at work who constantly undermines you in meetings, always quick with a sarcastic remark or a subtle jab. One day, they say something particularly cutting, expecting you to snap back or defend yourself. But instead, you stay silent. You meet their gaze calmly, offer no reaction, and continue with your work. The room grows quiet, and their words hang awkwardly in the air. In that moment, your silence says everything. You are above their negativity, and their attempts to provoke you have no power over you. Silence, when used intentionally, communicates strength, self-control, and emotional detachment. It's not about being passive or avoiding confrontation. It's about choosing not to waste your energy on battles that don't serve you. Toxic people rely on your reactions to fuel their behavior, but when you refuse to engage, their power fades. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best way to deal with negativity is not to argue about what's right, but to live it. So, the next time someone tries to bait you with their words, ask yourself, do you want to play their game, or will you rise above it? The lesson is simple, yet profound. Silence is not surrender. It's a declaration of your strength, your peace, and your refusal to let others dictate your emotions. By mastering the art of non-reaction, you protect your inner peace and show the world what true self-mastery looks like. How will you use this tool the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm? 7. Limit your exposure to negativity. Think of your mind as a fortress, a place where your peace and mental health are protected by carefully built boundaries. But even the strongest walls can't keep everything out. Toxic people, like persistent intruders, always seem to find a way to test your defenses. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism becomes invaluable. While you can't control the actions or words of toxic individuals, you can control how much access they have to you. Limiting your exposure to negativity isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about prioritizing your well-being and preserving your emotional energy for the things and people that truly matter. Start by establishing physical distance whenever possible. If you know someone consistently drains your energy or brings negativity into your life, ask yourself, can I reduce the time I spend with them? Maybe it's rescheduling a lunch or stepping away from unnecessary conversations. For example, if a co-worker always gossips or complains, politely excuse yourself by saying you have something urgent to focus on. This isn't avoidance, it's self-care. Just as a wise leader wouldn't send troops into a pointless battle, you don't have to put yourself in the line of fire when it's unnecessary. But what about situations where physical distance isn't an option? Maybe it's a family member, a close colleague, or someone you simply can't avoid. This is where emotional distance becomes your most powerful tool. One way to achieve this is through mental detachment. As Epictetus wisely said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one another. When you observe toxic behavior, try not to let it invade your emotional state. For example, if someone criticizes you unfairly, remind yourself that their words reflect more about them than about you. Reframing their behavior is another effective strategy. Instead of internalizing their negativity, look at it objectively. If someone is constantly complaining, think, they're probably having a tough time, instead of letting their mood drag you down. This shift in perspective can help you maintain your peace. Another key is focusing on what brings you joy. Toxic individuals thrive on negativity, but you don't have to let them drain your happiness. Redirect your attention to the positive things in your life, your passions, meaningful work, or the supportive relationships that uplift you. Think of it like filling your fortress with light and warmth, making it harder for negativity to take hold. Limiting your exposure to toxic people isn't about weakness or avoidance, it's an act of strength and self-respect. By reducing the time you spend with negativity, you create more room for positivity, growth, and peace. Picture your fortress surrounded by a protective moat, not just a physical barrier, but an emotional one that keeps advancing negativity at bay. So, ask yourself, who or what do you need to limit in your life to protect your inner peace? Remember, you have the power to decide who gets access to your energy. By guarding your emotional space, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. 8. Build and strengthen your support system. Think of yourself as the guardian of your inner peace, standing watch at the gates of your mind. You've fortified your boundaries, mastered the art of staying calm in the face of negativity, and limited your exposure to toxic influences. But even the strongest guardian cannot stand alone forever. Just as a warrior depends on a phalanx, a tightly knit formation of allies for protection, you too need a support system to safeguard your well-being. This network of trusted individuals is your Stoic phalanx, a group of people who uplift you, share your values, and inspire you to grow. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, emphasized the importance of living in harmony with nature, and that harmony extends to the relationships you nurture. Surrounding yourself with people who align with your values and encourage your growth is essential for maintaining inner serenity and resilience, especially when negativity tries to creep into your life. A strong support system offers a safe space where you can process your emotions and share your struggles. Toxic people have a way of draining your energy and making you question yourself. But trusted friends and family members provide a counterbalance. They listen with empathy, reminding you that you're not alone and that your feelings are valid. For example, think of a time when a friend helped you through a difficult situation, perhaps after a heated argument with someone toxic. Their understanding and encouragement likely gave you the clarity and strength to move forward. Beyond listening, a good support system helps rebuild your self-worth. Toxic individuals often chip away at your confidence, but the right people remind you of your abilities, your value, and your potential. Their belief in you becomes a source of strength, reigniting the confidence that negativity tries to extinguish. Moreover, The people in your support system serve as role models of virtue and positivity. The Stoics believed in surrounding oneself with individuals who embody the qualities you wish to cultivate: a resilience, kindness, optimism, and strength. When you spend time with such people, their actions inspire you to grow. Perhaps you've worked alongside someone who always remains calm under pressure, or you've been inspired by a friend who consistently chooses kindness in the face of challenges. Their example becomes a guide for your own behavior, showing you how to navigate life with grace. Rewards are immeasurable. Start by investing in quality time with the people who matter most. Deepen your relationships by sharing your experiences, listening to their stories, and creating meaningful moments together. Seek out communities, whether it's a local group, a club, or an online space that align with your values and interests. These environments naturally attract like-minded individuals who could become part of your support system. And don't forget the power of gratitude. Take the time to express appreciation for those who support you. A simple thank you for their encouragement or presence can strengthen your bond and remind them of their importance in your life. By surrounding yourself with a strong network of positive influences, you create a powerful shield against the negativity of toxic individuals. Your support system becomes your steadfast allies, offering strength, perspective, and optimism when you need it most. So, who are the people in your life who inspire you, encourage you, and remind you of your worth? And how can you nurture those relationships further? Remember, even the strongest fortress benefits from the presence of trusted allies. Build your phalanx and let it become the foundation of your inner peace and resilience. 9. Prioritize self-care for resilience. Dealing with toxic individuals can feel like being caught in a relentless storm, draining your emotional energy and leaving you exhausted. To protect your well-being and maintain your inner balance, self-care must become a non-negotiable part of your life. Just as a warrior sharpens their blade and tends to their wounds after battle, you need to treat self-care as a vital practice zone that strengthens you for the challenges ahead. Think of it as an investment in your mental and emotional health, something to prioritize alongside your other daily responsibilities. Schedule it into your day just as you would an important meeting and honor it as an essential part of your routine. Self-care begins with activities that bring you genuine joy and relaxation. What makes you feel alive and recharged? It could be as simple as taking a morning jog, practicing yoga, painting, journaling, or even spending an afternoon immersed in a good book. Maybe it's a walk in the park or a weekend hike through scenic trails. These moments of joy are not indulgent, they are necessary. For example, think of a busy professional who escapes the chaos of their week by taking their dog for a quiet walk every evening. That small act reconnects them with peace, helping them return to daily life with renewed focus and energy. What activities bring you that sense of calm and fulfillment? Another powerful tool is mindfulness or meditation, which the Stoics themselves practiced in their quest for inner peace. By meditating regularly, you can detach from the negative thoughts that toxic people often plant in your mind and cultivate a sense of clarity and tranquility. Even just 5 minutes of deep breathing or quiet reflection can help you reset and regain control of your emotions. In addition, spending time in nature can be profoundly healing. The Stoics believed in living harmoniously with nature, and there's wisdom in this. Whether it's sitting under a tree, feeling the breeze on your face, or watching the waves at the beach, nature has a way of grounding us and reminding us of the bigger picture. Listening to your body is another critical aspect of self-care. Your body sends you signals: tension in your shoulders, tired eyes, or that heavy feeling of emotional exhaustion. Don't ignore these signs. Instead, respond with kindness toward yourself. Prioritize rest, eat nourishing foods, and take breaks when you need them. Think of it as recharging your battery so that you can face life's challenges with strength. And just as you set boundaries with toxic people, you must also set boundaries around your self-care. Protect that time fiercely. If someone asks for your time during your self-care hour, learn to say no, politely but firmly. Remember, prioritizing self-care is not selfish, it's a necessity. By taking care of yourself, you build emotional resilience and become better equipped to handle negativity. Like a stoic warrior preparing for battle, you'll face challenges with greater strength, clarity, and perspective. So, what small steps can you take today to protect your peace and prioritize your well-being? By committing to self-care, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. With a full emotional battery, you'll not only shield yourself from negativity, but also radiate positivity, becoming a source of strength for others. 10. It's not about you. When dealing with toxic people, it's easy to feel like you're standing under a dark, heavy cloud, one that blocks out the light and fills the air with negativity. But here's the truth. That cloud isn't yours, it's theirs. Toxic individuals often project their fears, insecurities, and inner struggles onto others, creating an environment that feels suffocating and overwhelming. The key to navigating these situations lies in the ancient Stoic concept of prosophy, which teaches us to become intelligent observers of life. Instead of getting swept up in someone else's emotional storm, you can step outside of it, detach yourself from the chaos, and view the situation with calm, rational clarity. This practice doesn't mean you stop carrying it, means you stop taking their behavior personally, because most of the time, their negativity has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own inner battles. Think about it. When someone lashes out, criticizes, or blames you, it's often a reflection of their own pain. It's like a person carrying a dark cloud over their head. They can't help but let it spill over onto others. But just as the ground beneath the storm isn't responsible for the rain, you are not responsible for their emotional outbursts. The Stoics remind us to recognize this projection for what it is: a deflection of their own insecurities. By practicing prosophy, you can detach emotionally and see their behavior as a phenomenon to observe, not something to absorb. For example, think of a co-worker who constantly criticizes your work. Instead of internalizing their negativity, ask yourself, is this really about me, or are they projecting their own frustrations or fears? Often, you'll find that their words say more about them than they do about you. Epictetus once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This wisdom reminds us to focus on what truly matters: our own path, our own growth, and our own peace. Toxic people thrive on pulling others into their storms, but you don't have to engage. Your time and energy are far too valuable to be wasted on their negativity. Instead, redirect that energy toward building a life of purpose, virtue, and inner calm. That doesn't mean you can't feel compassion for their struggles after all. Everyone has their own battle spot. It does mean you don't have to let their storms become your storms. So, how can you start practicing this detachment in your own life? Begin by pausing. The next time someone's negativity comes your way, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this isn't about me. Visualize yourself as a calm observer, watching their storm from the outside instead of standing in its path. Then focus on your own journey. What brings you peace? What helps you grow? By prioritizing your well-being and refusing to take their behavior personally, you create a shield of emotional resilience. And remember, no matter how dark the clouds may seem, the sun is always shining above them. The challenge is to rise above the storm and keep your light intact. What steps can you take today to protect your inner peace and stay focused on your own path? By practicing detachment, you transform yourself from a passive recipient of negativity into a strong, centered individual who radiates calm and clarity. 11. Let go of fixing others. When dealing with someone you care about who exhibits toxic behaviors, it's natural to feel the urge to step in, fix them, or even play the role of a therapist. You want to help, to make things better, to take away their pain. But here's the hard truth. Trying to fix someone else often leads to frustration, emotional exhaustion, and even resentment. Stoicism teaches us that transformation must come from within. It cannot be forced by anyone else. Toxic individuals, much like a garden overrun with weeds, need their own willpower and effort to clear the negativity and create change. You can't pull those weeds for them without neglecting your own garden. So the question becomes, are you focusing on what you can control, or are you pouring your energy into what you cannot? Stoicism emphasizes a simple but profound truth. Focus on what is within your control. You can control your reactions, your boundaries, and your choices, but you cannot control someone else's behavior. The responsibility for a toxic person's actions lies solely with them. They must make the conscious decision to address their negativity, take accountability, and work toward becoming better. If you take on that responsibility for them, you not only create an unhealthy dynamic, but you also rob them of the opportunity to take ownership of their own growth. Think about it. How many times have you tried to fix someone only to feel drained, unappreciated, or even blamed when they didn't change? It's a cycle that leaves you empty and them unchanged. Acceptance is a cornerstone of Stoicism. Accepting what is beyond your control, like another person's negativity, frees you from the futile effort of trying to change them. Picture your inner peace as a beautiful, blooming garden. Toxic individuals with their negativity are like invasive weeds. If you spend all your time and energy trying to uproot their weeds, your own garden will wither. Instead, focus on nurturing positive relationships, cultivating your virtues, and practicing self-care. By tending to your own growth, you create a life that inspires others to do the same. And if you truly want to help, remember that leading by example is far more effective than trying to force change. For instance, think about a friend who always complains about their problems but never takes steps to solve them. You might feel tempted to offer advice, push them towards solutions, or even take on their burdens yourself. But what if, instead of trying to fix them, you gently suggested a helpful book, recommended therapy, or simply showed them through your own actions how to handle challenges with resilience and grace? Sometimes, the best way to help someone is not to fix them, but to give them the tools and space to fix themselves. There will be times when, despite your best efforts, a toxic person remains stuck in their negativity. In those moments, it's important to know when to step back. You cannot control their journey, but you can always choose your own path. Ask yourself, are you sacrificing your peace for someone who isn't ready to change? By letting go of the need to fix others, you transform from a frustrated fixer into a calm, centered individual who supports others without compromising your own well-being. Remember, your garden deserves to thrive, and sometimes that means letting go of the weeds you can't uproot. What steps will you take today to protect your peace and focus on your own growth? The choice is yours, and it's one that leads to freedom, clarity, and strength. 12. Knowing when to walk away. There comes a time when, despite all your efforts to set boundaries, maintain emotional detachment, and nurture your inner peace, the negativity of a toxic person continues to erode your well-being. Knowing when to walk away is one of the hardest yet most liberating decisions you can make. It's not about giving up on someone, it's about choosing yourself, your mental health, and your peace. Stoicism teaches us that our inner serenity is like a fortress, a sacred sanctuary we cultivate through mindfulness, self-care, and rational living. But when someone's relentless negativity becomes a siege on that sanctuary, walking away becomes a necessary act of self-preservation. Think of it like tending to a garden. No matter how much care you give, if a plant is surrounded by weeds that choke its roots, it cannot thrive. To save the garden, sometimes you must remove what harms it, even if it's painful. Walking away aligns deeply with Stoic philosophy. Seneca reminds us, the whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Remaining in a toxic relationship, whether with a family member, co-worker, or close friend, drains your energy and wastes the precious time you could be spending on meaningful pursuits and positive connections. It's not just about leaving the person, but about creating space for people and experiences that genuinely nourish your spirit. Acceptance is another cornerstone of Stoicism. Accepting that you cannot change someone else's behavior is not weakness, it's wisdom. Walking away is an act of detachment, a deliberate choice to protect your inner peace. You're not abandoning the person, you're stepping away from the toxicity that threatens your well-being. For example, think about someone in your life who constantly criticizes or belittles you, no matter how much you try to communicate or set boundaries. Maybe it's a co-worker who always undermines your efforts, or a friend who only calls to complain and never listens. You've tried reasoning with them, showing compassion, and even adjusting your own behavior, but the pattern never changes. At some point, you have to ask yourself, how much of your energy are you willing to sacrifice? What is this relationship costing you? Walking away doesn't have to mean a dramatic confrontation. It could be as simple as politely declining their invitations, reducing how often you engage with them, or slowly creating distance. These small, intentional steps can help you reclaim your peace without unnecessary conflict. So, how do you know when it's time to walk away? Ask yourself, Have you tried all reasonable options, like open communication or setting boundaries? Is the negativity a recurring pattern, or is it an isolated incident? Most importantly, how is this relationship impacting your mental and emotional well-being? Walking away is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-care. By prioritizing your peace, you're not only protecting yourself, but also creating room for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to grow. What relationships in your life are truly worth your energy, and which ones are holding you back? Remember, your inner peace is your greatest asset, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away to protect it. 13. Forgive yourself and move forward. Carrying the weight of anger, resentment, and guilt is like walking through life with a heavy backpack that only grows heavier with each step. It slows you down, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in one place, unable to move forward. Forgiving yourself is not about erasing the past or pretending nothing happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that hold you back. As Stoicism teaches, forgiveness is less about the other person and more about reclaiming your inner peace. The Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control, and that includes our own thoughts, actions, and ability to let go of what no longer serves us. Resentment and anger often feel justified, but they harm you far more than anyone else. They contaminate your present and cloud your future, leaving little room for joy or growth. So, how can you begin the process of forgiveness and truly lighten your load? Start by acknowledging your feelings. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, or even betrayed. Those emotions are valid, but holding on to them indefinitely is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Recognize what you're feeling without judgment and allow yourself to process it. Next, practice self-compassion. Think about how you would comfort a close friend who made a mistake or faced a tough situation. Would you criticize them endlessly, or would you offer them understanding and kindness? Now, turn that same compassion inward. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, whether it's your own or someone else's. It means accepting what happened, understanding that it's beyond your control now, and making the conscious choice to move forward. Let's consider a modern example. You're at work, and a colleague takes credit for an idea you worked hard on. You feel angry and betrayed, and those feelings linger long after the meeting ends. You replay the moment in your head, thinking of all the things you wish you'd said or done differently. But ask yourself, is holding on to that anger helping you? Is it changing the situation, or is it only making you feel worse? By forgiving yourself for not speaking up in the moment and letting go of the resentment toward your colleague, you reclaim your power. You can learn from the experience, set boundaries, and approach future situations with more confidence without carrying the emotional baggage of the past. Forgiveness is not a one-time decision, it's a process. Reframe the situation if you can. Was the other person acting out of malice, or were there other factors at play? Shifting your perspective can help you find empathy, which often opens the door to forgiveness. And most importantly, remember that forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. By letting go of negativity, you create space for healing, growth, and a more fulfilling life. So, ask yourself, what emotional weight are you carrying right now, and how is it holding you back? What would your life look like if you chose to forgive yourself and move forward? Picture yourself continuing your journey with a lighter heart, no longer burdened by the past. The road ahead is yours to take, filled with new opportunities, strength, and peace. Choose to let go, and you'll find the freedom to truly live. 14. Growth through every experience. Every experience in life, even the difficult ones involving toxic individuals, holds a lesson if you're willing to look for it. Stoicism teaches us that adversity is not something to fear, but a tool for growth, a way to strengthen our character and refine our approach to life. Toxic people, while challenging to deal with, often shine a light on areas where we could improve, whether it's setting stronger boundaries, building emotional resilience, or communicating more effectively. Take a moment to reflect on your reactions. After an interaction with someone toxic, did you stay calm and composed, or did their behavior provoke an emotional response? Understanding your triggers is like holding up a mirror to yourself. It helps you prepare for similar situations in the future. Toxic individuals often follow predictable patterns, and by recognizing these, you can anticipate their actions and respond with clarity and confidence, rather than being caught off guard. Let me share a story. Picture a workplace situation where a colleague constantly undermines you in meetings or takes credit for your ideas. It's frustrating, isn't it? But instead of letting anger consume you, think about what this situation is teaching you. Perhaps it's an opportunity to practice patience, stay calm under pressure. Maybe it's challenging you to speak up assertively or to set clear boundaries in a professional way. Each interaction with this person becomes a test of your ability to cultivate virtues like courage, wisdom, and self-control, qualities that Stoicism holds in the highest regard. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that while you can't always control how others behave, you can control how you respond, and that is where your true power lies. Every difficult encounter is a chance to focus on the bigger picture, your inner growth and peace. By shifting your mindset from seeing yourself as a victim of someone else's behavior to recognizing the opportunity for self-improvement, you take back control. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use it to grow stronger, wiser, or more composed? Challenges, even the unpleasant ones, are stepping stones that lead you toward becoming the best version of yourself. The next time you face a toxic person, remember that they are not just an obstacle, they are also a teacher, unwittingly helping you build the emotional strength and resilience needed to live a fulfilling and virtuous life. By embracing this perspective, you transform adversity into empowerment, and every experience becomes a valuable part of your journey forward. As you navigate life's challenges, remember that every interaction, even with toxic individuals, is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more composed. The Stoics teach us that true power lies in mastering our emotions, focusing on what we can control, and letting go of what we cannot. Toxic people don't define you, your response to them does. So, take each encounter as a lesson, a chance to cultivate patience, courage, and inner peace. The next time you face negativity, pause, reflect, and respond with grace, not anger. Ask yourself, how can I use this moment to become better, not bitter? The path to mastering your emotions isn't easy, but it's one worth taking. Start today. Take back your power. Embrace the wisdom of Stoicism and transform every challenge into a stepping stone toward a more virtuous, fulfilling life. If you found this inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Echoes US for more lessons on living with strength, wisdom, and grace. Let's walk this path together.